I'm Rora.
I'm Jane.
And we are Birds of Clay.
And we're here to talk all things Australian pottery and ceramic art.
So put your kettle on.
And let's have a chat. We would like to pay our respects to the traditional custodians on the lands on which this podcast is recorded. We acknowledge the rich history of art, craft and storytelling that has been occurring for millennia, and acknowledge elders past, present and country as provider, protector and guide. Working with clay is intrinsically linked to country, and we would not be here without the care and connection that our First Nations peoples have shown for thousands of years on this continent we call Australia.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, Jane.
Hi, Rora.
How you going?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good.
We're both a little bit tired.
A little bit tired.
Still recovering.
Still recovering from the huge week that was.
Gulgong!
Whee! But before we jump in
Yeah.
to all things Gulgong, we're going to do a little catch-up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what has been happening? What's the updates in your world?
There's a couple of exciting things that have happened. I think last episode we spoke about the UniSQ Biennial Art Award.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. And so yes, I got an award.
You did get an award!
Yeah, which was really lovely. It was an encouragement award. It was like a good try award.
Yes, with this beautiful frame and
$500!
And $500.
Which is wonderful. Already have spent that.
Incredible. You should be so proud of yourself.
Yeah, it was really lovely. And it's funny, like I thought about it this morning and I thought, yeah, it really did encourage me.
Yay!
Like it made me go, yeah, an arts practice.
Good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes. But there's other news.
I just want to say on that show as well.
Yeah.
Huge representation of ceramic artists.
I know, wasn't it wonderful?
A ceramic artist won the Emerging Award.
Yeah,
too.
Susie Choi.
Susie Choi, yes.
Amazing, beautiful porcelain work.
Lustery, beautiful.
Lustery, kind of remind me a bit of what's his name? Brett Kern's work, like where he does like inflatable dinosaurs, but she did this like amazing kind of slip cast, looked like it was in
a floaty ring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really beautiful, and yeah, just great ceramic work. Hey.
Oh, I loved it.
And is that the one I'm thinking of?
Oh yes, no, she won the runner-up.
Yeah. So ceramic work won the runners up too, which was amazing. So yeah.
So she had this piece called Coolangatta and Tweed Heads.
Yeah.
Loved it, and it was like.
There's a lot of skill in it, hey?
It kind of looked a bit like a pollen,
but
blown up, like really big.
It totally did, yeah.
Yeah, some people around me when I was looking at the work thought it was very like virusy looking as well.
Like
a bacteria.
Somebody said it looked like juices as well.
Yes.
Like, because it was all slip cast pieces that were put together. Mm-hmm. A lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay, ceramics.
Yay, ceramics.
Love to see it.
Yeah, and I think because it's our uni and we have a ceramics program, and it's nice to see that kind of theme is following through, like,
yep,
and that the Toowoomba community is valuing ceramics.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, it's very good to see, because you don't see a lot of open art prizes where ceramics is taking like the majority of the entries. Or finalists. Yeah. Very cool.
Or even like being equally represented. So
yeah,
very cool.
Yay! Yes. Thanks UniSQ for loving ceramics.
We're not paid.
We're paying.
That's true. But Rora, you have news too.
I do have news. So I will be making a new body of work and having a solo show in January.
Yay!
And that's very exciting because I've only had one solo before, and that was back in 2021. And my work has changed so much since then. So I'll be doing all vessels. Yep, and that's all I'm telling you.
That's great. I can help you make plinths.
Oh, yeah. Because that
We'll see.
space doesn't provide plinths.
It has some, but
Some.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Ooh, something
Just
to
saying.
think about.
I can help you make.
My plinth was so Dr. Zeus.
It was great. I loved it.
One.
You did amazing. Like, my goodness.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. But there's more news.
There is more news. We are both finalists
Yes.
in Fairholme Art Prize.
Yeah.
Woo! We're going to drop off the artwork after we record this episode.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah, it is.
And we also have a few friends that make ceramic work that are finalists as well.
Yeah.
So potentially lots of ceramics there, hopefully.
Yeah,
That would be
hopefully.
cool.
And everything's for sale, and it's one of those kind of art shows where people come to buy affordable artwork for their collections and for their homes and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really good. There's also some artist talks happening. Yeah, it's really nice. And I mean, there's 200 finalists, so it's going to be a big show. Are you going to the Perfor thing? On
the artist tour?
Yeah.
Yes. Are
Yeah.
you?
Yeah.
I decided yesterday that yes, I will.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's on Thursday night. Yeah. But there's more news from you, Roar.
There is so much news.
There it is.
Yeah, I am going to be a part of an emerging artist show called Unleashed at Artisan in Brisbane.
That's amazing. I think that's a really, really cool opportunity and very well deserved.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm kind of floored by it still. Like, I'm really excited. They are paying me for the loan of my work.
Yeah, cool.
Which more galleries should do, but
That's
how cool is
great.
that?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
I
go.
didn't know that. That's great.
So I haven't looked up all of the participating artists. There's 7 all up, but I do know that there's a jewelry maker and a furniture designer as well. So it'll be quite an interesting show with lots of different makers. So.
Yeah, and Artisan's great. They're like, I know a couple episodes ago we talked, it was our last episode. I think we talked about gallery shops, and they're kind of sit in that space between fine art and craft. Like, they're really interesting. They're really passionate about craft and makers. Yeah. I think it used to be called Craft Queensland or something like that.
Okay.
Artisan, yeah. And Peter Burkhofer has work. She was in Unleashed a few years ago.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And she sells work there too.
Yeah. Which is really cool.
Yes. So cool.
Yeah.
So that's coming up. That opening is in June, and I was actually going to be away that weekend, so I'll now be just changing my flights and going a bit later. But to go straight from the opening to the airport, fly to Melbourne. But yeah, just for a holiday, nothing too exciting. But
That's exciting. Holidays are good.
Yeah, holidays are good.
Yeah.
Holidays are great. We love them.
Yeah.
We should take more.
We should. And so, other news, we've just been doing the markets and both making
stuff.
I've got assessment due, so I'm doing that. But yeah, the main thing we're going to talk about today is Gulgong.
Yeah.
Clay Gulgong, which we went to. We come back 2 weeks ago.
Was it really?
I don't know. No, we were still there 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
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 Oh my goodness. I have both been so glad it's over and missed it incredibly.
Yeah.
Just wanted to be back there still. It was just amazing to be in an area with 500 to 600 people that make in the medium of clay.
I know.
You could strike up a conversation with anyone.
You could.
It was
I had that feeling that you could just talk to anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It didn't really feel hierarchical or...
No.
It was like everyone was up for a chat.
Totally.
Yeah, which was really lovely. But we should go back a step and explain what Clay Gulgong is. I know we have a little bit in a previous episode, but...
We have a better understanding
we do now. Now we know.
Sure. Now we also know what it is.
Yeah.
So, Clay Gulgong, it's a festival out in regional New South Wales. Gulgong was a mining town, a gold mining town?
Yeah, it was originally one of the gold kind of towns in central New South Wales. It then became very important for the ceramics community of Australia because it had an amazing deposit of kaolin. Kaolin?
I say kaolin.
Kaolin, which is clay, basically. And it was a really pure white clay. And most clays that were made with Walkers, like Walkers and Feeney's, most of their clays were made with Gulgong clay. And it didn't have very many impurities in it. But that stopped, I think, probably about 5 years ago, maybe a bit longer. They stopped mining there. So now clays come from a real mix of places. But yeah, so it's got this long history. Obviously, you know, the town has a history of gold mining, and we could feel that there. There was museums and stories. It's also on Wiradjuri country. Beautiful areas around there. Hey, beautiful
so
kind
stunning.
of river, bush area.
Yeah, it's like when you're driving out. One thing I referenced a lot in my head was Donkey saying to Shrek, "That's a nice boulder," because there was like paddocks and hills. And, you know, not too many trees, like quite sparse. And then just random big boulders.
Yeah, it was beautiful, hey.
Stunning.
Yeah, beautiful country. But yeah, so that mine was there. And then Janet Mansfield.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Janet Mansfield was a huge player in ceramics in Australia, and still, her legacy still continues. Yeah, did you want to say a bit about...
I would love to.
Yeah.
So Janet, she predominantly was a salt firer. She has this amazing property called Morning View out near Gulgong, which is where Gulgong kind of all began. So she built her own anagama kiln, and we were lucky enough to go on the day after the festival had ended out to Morning View and see all the kilns. She's got all these gas kilns, all these little studio buildings, and a beautiful collection of work from ceramicists from all over the globe. She's represented in collections all around the world. She, including the Australian National Gallery, museums in Japan, Britain, Canada, USA, Germany, New Zealand, Norway, Czech Republic, China, and Switzerland. Under her belt, she had more than 35 solo exhibitions in her time. She was the editor of Pottery in Australia, which, if you don't know, is what the Journal of Australian Ceramics was before they changed to the Journal of Australian Ceramics. She did so much. She established and ran the Ceramic Art Gallery in Paddington, Sydney. She also established Mansfield Press, and she wrote and published books, which you can find. I've found so many of these copies, just like pottery in op shops everywhere. So I've got a list of her books here. Salt Glazed Ceramics, An International Perspective, Pottery, Contemporary Art in Australia and New Zealand, Ceramics in the Environment, and International Review. She also founded 2 magazines.
Yeah.
Like, just...
And international. I think that was a really big part of her, wasn't it? Is that she really made those international connections with Australian pottery. Like, it wasn't just this kind of... Because we can be a bit isolated in Australia.
Yep. For sure.
And I think she was the one that really started pushing out and creating an international connection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And inviting artists to her property to make incredible work and, yeah.
So the 2 magazines were Ceramic Art and Perception, which is still going today, and Ceramic Technical?
Ceramic Technical, yep.
Yeah. So, still journals that are going on today. She passed away in 2013, did she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But has left such a legacy, hasn't she?
Yeah.
And impacted Australian ceramics and global ceramics in such beautiful ways. And like you said, connecting people, and it just felt amazing being there and meeting these artists that had flown in from overseas to demonstrate to us Aussies in this tiny little town.
Yeah.
stunning.
Yeah, and so Janet set up Clay Gulgong, and I think it's been around since about 1989.
Yeah.
So there's been, and obviously it probably just started, well, it did just start as a wood firing festival, didn't it? With a small group of people coming to the property. And now it's 500 people. And Bernadette Mansfield, who is a champion.
Oh my God, what a woman.
Yeah, has continued Janet's legacy, running an amazing festival.
Yeah.
That, we just loved.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bernadette was really amazing. It kind of took me aback a little bit just seeing how much actual, like, physically working and, like, running up and down the hills around town, doing things, like, just really, really in it all and hands-on organising. Like, I don't know, you go to a lot of these things and you don't see the facilitator running around doing all this labour, but she really was in it and amongst it, and amazing.
And she was always so generous to have a chat and, like...
really approachable.
Like, I would be grumpy as if it was me. But she was always joyful and open and would chat to anyone, and... Yeah.
I feel really lucky to have been. That's, like, the feeling I've come away with. Is just, it feels special to have been there.
Yeah. And that was one piece of news I don't think we shared either, is that you had a very special role at Clay Gulgong, is that you were chosen as one of the emerging artists on the world stage.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah. So I got to take down a big, my big spiky pot, which is quite inhibiting to travel with. Thank you, Rachel, for driving it down for me.
It was her passenger.
It was in the passenger seat, buckled in. Before the festival, there was an online application form to submit some work to either the World Stage exhibition if you're an established artist, or there was also an emerging World Stage application if you're an emerging artist. So I put my work in there, and then that show was curated by Mark Del Vecchio and Garth Clark, and they put together the works and selected artists, and I was lucky enough to be selected and take work down. So that was cool.
That was great.
Yeah. Keith Bryman Jones opened the exhibition, which was a bit wild.
Yeah. I know, it was interesting seeing people, like, for those who don't know who that is, Keith is a host on the English show The Great Pottery Throwdown, which Laura and I have both watched.
Big fans.
Yeah, big fans. It was actually, like, thinking back, it was a big part of me getting into clay, I think.
Yeah.
It's just seeing that community and thinking these people were really lovely and inclusive. And it's one of the most, it's a bit like the Great British Bake Off. It's come from the same model and the same production team. And it's one of the most inclusive TV shows where it doesn't matter about your sexuality, your race, your age. Everyone's kind of...
Or even just the stage of making your art. Like,
yeah.
You know, everyone is making hand builders, throwers, slab builders. Like, just everyone does different techniques and shines in different ways.
Yeah, and there's a culture, I think, that is reflected in the ceramics community of lifting each other up and supporting each other through it. Although, you know, it is a competition, and I guess, you know, we are kind of, in some ways, in the ceramic world competing, but we're also just not as well. Like, we're supporting each other to be the best we can be.
Yeah. Let your light shine.
Yeah, so Keith's the host of that, and, you know, it was interesting just, like, you know, sitting down at a table and he's there, and, you know,
in the beer garden.
In the beer garden, yeah. So there was actually a pottery throwdown, wasn't there?
Yes, an Aussie one. How many contestants? Was it 6 or
7?
7.
Yeah, 7. There was a confusion at the beginning. But yes, it ended up being 7.
Yes, that was pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, it was fun. So every day at about 10 a.m, they would do a quick challenge, wouldn't they? So
the throwdown.
The throwdown, which is like, I think they threw off the hump.
Yeah.
They did a blindfold challenge. A few things like that.
Like, they did some challenges where they had to replicate something that Keith had thrown.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, as well, like a long neck vase.
Ah, yes.
Yes, and flower pot challenge, and probably another thing.
Yeah. But, and then they had a main make.
Yes.
That they would do in the day. And obviously things weren't fired because there was no capacity for that.
Yeah. All the contestants were really amazing and had different strengths too. I think that whatever the selection process was for those contestants, I think it was done really thoughtfully because everyone was so good at different things.
Yeah.
It was really interesting to watch. But yeah, everyone smashed it. Our friend Bill was in the throwdown, so that made it just extra fun to watch.
It was, and it was nice to feel that we knew someone and supporting them, and it was a nice part of the day. Even though I don't think I went every day, but I nearly did.
Yeah, I think I missed day 2.
Yeah.
The blindfold.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for the festival, we were all given a program at registration, and some of the days the program would run from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m.
Sometimes midnight, depending on how long the pub crawl was for.
But they were really dense, and a lot of times things would overlap, and you would have to pick and choose between some things. So hence why we didn't make it to the throwdown every day. So the masters that were flown in from all different parts of the world, a few Aussies, they were demonstrating in the demo tents from 9 until 12, and then again from 2 until 4 each day, which, wow, that's impressive.
It is, and it's something I don't think I understood till I got there.
Yeah.
I'm even still processing. So basically there'd be one potter, master, working on their work, talking to a small group of people. You could ask questions, you could have banter, it was really getting to know that master in front of you. And they were all so generous and just the energy that would have taken.
Incredible.
Wow. Yeah.
Especially when, I guess, artists, ceramicists, potters, we're also used to going into our own world, shutting all of the other parts of the world out and being alone and making work and really focusing in on what we're doing. That was one thing I found actually quite difficult, which I think maybe a lot of people did, was how social the event was.
Yeah, it was a lot.
We're all, I guess, so used to being alone all the time.
Yeah. It was kind of the beauty of it and the struggle.
Yeah.
We also, we went down with a group of friends and we camped, which was great, but also a lot.
Exhausting.
Yeah.
It was exhausting. I loved having our group and people you could just catch up with and check in on and go to different things with, and that was fab.
Yeah, it kind of felt like having a family.
It did.
And you'd go home and have your cup of tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good that we could all kind of just sit around the table and be silent and eat and drink tea as well, and it wouldn't feel like too much of a hassle.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the artists that went.
Yeah. So also the masters who who were doing the demonstration also did presentations. So we also got to know more about them.
Yeah.
In that too, which was great. But yeah, so.
Fabulous.
Yeah. Who did you watch the most, Rora?
I watched Aaron Scythe, and he's come over from New Zealand.
Yeah.
He actually worked in Mashiko, Japan for 16 years. So his pottery is very Japanese inspired. He's inspired by Mino ware. And one thing I really loved was he doesn't discriminate on how to fire your work. He says he'll make work appropriate for whatever kiln it's going into. So electric, wood, gas, doesn't matter. He'll adapt, and yeah. So his work is very it's thrown really fast. It's not centered, but that really gives his pieces this kind of energy and movement. and then they're not symmetrical, but they are just so beautiful, and I love them. And I bought one.
Yeah, good.
I bought a tea bowl.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I did. It's beautiful. Yes, big fan. If you do want to look him up on Instagram, his Instagram let's link all of them.
Yeah, we'll link all of them.
We'll link all of them
Yeah.
in our bio today. So, yeah, who did you watch the most?
Well, look, I was overwhelmed. I did watch Aaron a little bit, and I loved his presentation. It was really good. I really liked, he's quite anarchic in how he works and even his philosophy. And I really enjoyed how he said his work's a bit like hip-hop.
Yeah.
Where, you know, the origins of hip-hop was all about having a voice heard, but also sampling all these beautiful things from the past that had a story that kind of was made new by putting it together. And I think he really inspired me with his surface design, because surface design something I'm always wanting to do but never knowing quite how. And he has this way, it's almost like a patchwork. I mean, I feel like that's not quite right. But it's like he has like comics and writing and...
Yeah, I was going to say, it does remind me of a comic strip almost.
Yeah. And so just
indirectly.
There's like precision, but also chaos.
And freedom.
So yeah, I think that was really inspiring. I really enjoyed watching him work too.
He actually, it's funny you said that, he calls himself the Chaos Monkey.
Yeah, he's a chaos monkey.
So that was fun.
Yeah. Look, I think I didn't watch Josh Copas much, but his presentation probably had the biggest impact on me. Yeah, so Josh Copas is from the Appalachian Mountains. I know we kind of say Appalachian.
I think so.
But that's the north. He said people in the south say Appalachian.
Ah.
Yeah, which is like North Carolina, beautiful kind of remote area of America. With a lot of, what would you say, like poverty and need. An area that's renowned for struggle. So he's done a lot of community work with his ceramics. He won an award like when he first started making, and I think he won $15,000, and he just went and bought property, which was amazing. I was like, that's really smart. That's what you should do.
Yeah.
So that was great, learning about him buying property, and he was digging clay and made a wood fire and kiln. But then as time went on, he decided, and I think he did it with another person, it's something I want to research more, where there was this community kind of project they made through digging wild clay, making bricks in a park in the middle of a town.
Wow.
Like just bringing the clay, getting the community to make bricks, and then the community would stamp a message on the brick.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then he would build something like a monument. Or
I love that.
so cool.
I missed that talk.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did.
Like, I was obsessed. So I am still a bit obsessed. Sorry, Josh. And I've been a bit stalker on, like, the internet trying to find out more about this project, because I just think there's so... Like, that's something I'm really passionate about, is those kind of clay in community projects. And I love that it's people getting their hands into clay making, putting in a message. And
sharing an experience.
Yeah, and also then that becoming a voice... a permanent voice through a monument, through building with these bricks.
Yeah.
Where the messages...
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, it was really cool. So that has really kind of set me off. And also, so that was Josh. There's also another guy from America called Tim C.
Oh, it wrecked me. It wrecked me, his talk.
Oh, did it?
Oh, I cried.
Yeah, look, crying. There was lots of tears.
There was
wasn't there?
so much crying.
Yeah. But Tim brought up something that I've been interested in for years too, which is the Empty Bowls project, which is something I'm thinking of potentially doing for some research, is just looking at what happens when we bring a lot of potters together to make bowls. We serve soup in these bowls and sell them for a bit of money, and then that money goes to support community. There's a lot of need in community with the cost of living crisis at the moment. So I think the more things we can do to help, the better. And also through doing these things, we build our own, strengthen our own communities through coming together and having a bit of a party. And
Yeah.
yeah, but Tim has amazing work.
I loved his talk. It's very, he's just very community minded and thinks about what he can give back.
Yeah.
And just, I think he gained a big following online by live streaming himself working, and just he's really passionate about sharing knowledge, which made him a amazing demonstrator for the week. So he would just give you all these tips, and so he throws work that kind of, it looks like it's made out of metal, like oil cans and stuff, and things with rivets and screws, and just incredible. But yeah, when he was talking about all the things he's done in his community, and I just cried. I just thought, that is just pure goodness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, wow.
And I think that's something I really noticed too, is that a lot of these artists that are masters and have amazing practices also were humble and struggle with self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a lot of them spoke about struggling with self-worth, which made me go, oh, okay, you just got to accept it and move on.
Okay, maybe it stuck with me forever.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't grow out of it.
Yeah, maybe I'll never be like... I mean, they definitely all were confident.
Yeah.
But there was this also kind of struggle there, I felt, especially with some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the talk that made me cry the most was Ruth's.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so Ruth makes a beautiful, beautiful work. A lot of it's ephemeral, kind of very organic plants. Mm-hmm. I don't know how else to explain it. It's just, like, look it up.
Yeah, so that's Ruth Ju-shih Li. We will link her as well.
Yes.
Her work is ephemeral. It's like very floral. She uses a lot of press molds to make these super, super delicate peony flowers, and just makes a, what's the word? Structure.
Kind of like a sculptural piece.
Yeah.
Made up of other kind of components. Very organic, very plant-like. Mm-hmm. And
there's some cast components to it too, like bird wings kind of coming out. And so she was building that all week, which I think was 5 days for the demonstrations.
Yeah.
So all these separate pieces and then bringing them together. And her talk was really affecting.
Yeah, it was. She spoke a lot about grief, and her challenges of finding her voice and things like that. And it was a beautiful speech. It was also at the end of the week when I was really tired. Yeah. So, it was very emotional. But I really enjoyed hearing about her process and her vulnerability. She's very vulnerable in her talk, which I really appreciated. And it's actually influenced some of my practice, which is good.
Yeah.
I'm making an ephemeral piece at the moment.
Oh,
so,
cool.
Yeah. Just, I was like, yeah, why not? Like, I don't want this to fire this, so.
It's interesting, when people have asked me how Gulgong was, Ruth is the first thing I talk about.
Is it?
Yeah, I've noticed.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We should say on the last night, so we had a big dinner, and on the last night and I think our little group of women really felt this and participated strongly in a ceremony that Ruth set up around pouring water onto her ephemeral piece, and that space felt so much energy, didn't it? It was very filled with grief and beauty and
it
reverence.
It felt like a historical moment. So Ruth makes her work ephemerally, and so through a grieving process, she would make work, was full-time caring for a few family members, and didn't have time or capacity to fire her work, so would go put it in her garden and watch it kind of deteriorate over time. And then she's brought that into her practice as part of the process too, as to kind of show a release of grief. So hence why this watering ceremony was really affecting for a lot of people. It was, everyone's pouring water and thinking about their own personal grief and a release of that. So, yeah, lots of people crying, and but it was also really beautiful and connecting in a way. Like, I made this lovely friend, Gemma. Shout out Gemma if you're listening. I bought one of her pieces from the delegates exhibition, and I just kept bumping into her all week. And then at the end of the week, at that ceremony, Gemma was just really affected and crying, and we just had this big hug and big cry together, and it felt so beautiful. So yeah, that was a really lovely moment, and
it was
watching the sculpture just deteriorate and collapse. It was like
it almost
heart-wrenching.
It was, but it was also like it had life. Like pouring water on the clay, like someone would pour water and some bits would just kind of move, and you'd kind of be holding your breath, going, "Is this it, or is it gonna stop there?" Or like. Yeah, I was kind of on my own. Like, I watched the whole thing just kind of on my own because that's how I get when I get emotional.
One thing Gemma said when she was watching was, it's like watching something being born. It's kind of sacred.
Yeah, it made me think a lot about ritual and how we really crave it in our society too. So thank you, Ruth, for creating that. It was a really strong... very strong moment and memory
very
from
affecting.
Clay Gulgong.
Oh, yeah. Really special. A beautiful way to wrap the week up.
Yeah.
This was another crying moment that night was Naidee Changmoh made this beautiful, huge sculpture, and throughout the week, just using smooth clay with no grog in it, this gigantic sculpture, and it was like this, his work is kind of like childlike caricature sculptures. Yeah. And also a bit ethereal as well, I would describe it.
Cross kind of species, like not quite human, but not quite animal.
Yes.
Like this kind of bit characters.
Yes. Yeah. So Naidee is Thai, and all of his work is just incredible. Just look it up. So yeah, each day you kind of walk through the demonstration tent, see just how gigantic his sculpture was becoming. And then on that night before the watering ceremony, I walk into his tent to see the finished thing, and I just cried out of just pure amazement. And I said to him, like, it has been an honor to watch you make this. Really, like, so special. And he didn't really know me, so I think he was kind of like, "Oh, thank you." Please stop crying.
No, I'm sure he was very honoured.
Yeah, it was incredible. Yep.
Oh, so much, hey.
So many tears. It just felt incredible to be part of the huge community.
Yeah. I know, so many more artists we could talk about too. Like there was Alvin, watched him throw. That was amazing. I watched Tomiko. She is a Japanese artist, and just her beautiful, gentle way of working with coloured porcelain. That was great.
Nice.
So many.
Seeing Malcolm Greenwood and Ted Seckham throwing. That was great too. I was super interested in watching the potters, so... there was also a Teacher's Day.
There was a Teacher's Day,
and
neither of us went.
No.
But amazing artists again: Ebony Russell, Simone Fraser, and Fleur Shell.
Yep.
Were there, and it was great just seeing their work and seeing pictures of what happened that day. And a couple of our friends went, and there were some really great moments, I think, on that Teacher's Day.
Looked good.
So many things.
Punch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Shiyuan Xu. Oh, my gosh. Her talk.
Yeah.
I am so inspired. After her talk. Wow. So, Shiyuan makes these sculptures that are kind of based from molecular cell structures, but on obviously a larger scale. And some of the images accompanying her presentation really looked like they could have been taken from a microscope. Like, it did not look like handmade ceramic work. And just the depth in which she has developed her voice and researched her work and gone to all these residencies. I thought that was really inspiring, and yeah, I felt really affected watching that. Like, I'm going to go and develop my work and make it stronger.
Yeah. I think watching her presentation, watching her work, it also made me realise how hard artists work. Mm-hmm. And it is like something we always talk about and we know, but I think it's all like, to be a successful artist, it's just keeping on pushing the hard work. They're just continuing to work.
Work. It do take grit.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did. It does.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It will.
Yeah, and just all of them were hard workers. You could tell. Mm-hmm. Like,
there was also Marina Pribas, who I don't think we've mentioned yet either, who does really illustrated work on porcelain, I think.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I didn't spend any time watching her, and it's not because I don't like her work or anything. I think I just prioritise the people that weren't from Australia.
Yeah. And that's the thing. You do need to be selective because the days are full and they go fast. You know, and there's a lot of walking around town. One day I walked 9.6 kilometers. So yeah, like I got my steps up every day, and I haven't been walking much since.
Yeah.
But yeah, so anyone out there who is considering going to the next Gulgong, I do recommend it. Yeah. It was incredible. An amazing experience.
I think it's one of those experiences that transforms your practice. Like, I don't think
absolutely
you couldn't go away from it without something shifting in your practice.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I don't know, what was your favourite kind of moment, or a favourite? It doesn't have to be the favourite.
Oh my goodness, I don't know. All of them. Probably, actually, the artist presentations, I think, were really incredible.
They were great, weren't they? There was also, at the same time, a kind of Readers Writers Festival happening.
Oh, yeah.
So, with the artists would present, and we would hear from them, but they would also be at a different time interviewed by a woman talking about the books that they read as a kid, but mainly it was kind of like pulling out a life story. So there were some wonderful moments in that too. I think for me, though, a real standout was the last day for me. Yeah, like going to Morning View and just seeing that legacy and just seeing the lifestyle that one could live. Wood firing. I mean, I feel like we haven't really spoken about wood firing, but that was such a big part of the week for me.
Yeah.
It's just seeing all different types of people wood firing, all different types of work being wood fired, really opening my mind up to different ways of being in that space. It's something I've always been interested in and I'd love to do. It just felt almost too hard. Yeah. But now I feel that I want to dip my toe. Yeah. Not literally into the wood-fired kiln.
If there's anything that ceramics has taught me is that it is hard and the best parts are the most work. Yeah. So I think wood firing would be phenomenal. It's just having the opportunity. Yeah. Or the means to.
Yeah, and I think you and I are both pretty lucky that we live on biggish parcels of land. Yeah. Where we have the ability to build something. Yeah. We're not going to upset anyone too much. So yeah, something I'm kind of thinking about potentially getting some folks in Brizzy who don't have that capacity, because we're not too far from Brisbane for wood fire, and maybe building something here.
Oh, that would be fantastic. There was a wood fire show as well, which was beautiful.
Oh, wasn't it? Yeah.
I bought a little piece of history there. There was Susie McMeekin had a stall there because she's a wood firer, and her father was Ivan McMeekin, who founded Sturt Pottery, and she was selling some of his work. I bought this little wood-fired mug that said Gulgong on the outside, and it felt really special holding it in my hands, and I actually didn't really know anything about Ivan, so I went into the stall because it had his birth date and the date he passed away on the sign. So I thought, well, obviously this artist isn't here to sell his own work. So I went in and asked, and yeah, he actually taught Gwen Hansard Pickett. She apprenticed under him. Just this incredible, rich history. And Ivan actually had a memorial talk and a Save Our Sturt. There was a Save Our Sturt kind of campaign with that as well. So that was pretty cool. I'm really happy to have bought that and to have that. That's the kind of thing you would see on Antiques Roadshow.
Yeah. Something with a lot of history. I know. I bought a beautiful wood-fired mug by Cara. I actually don't know her last name, but we'll link it in.
Yeah.
And it was quite feminine. Like, I feel like this mug was quite different to a lot of wood-fired stuff. It's kind of beautiful creams and greys. I've been using it a lot. It's a beautiful mug. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
So many things.
I would actually love to hear a bit more about Morning View.
Yeah, because you had to kind of go. Yeah.
So what happened after?
Well, after you went, we just kind of wandered around.
Yeah.
So there was not really any official event except for the unpacking of the wood kiln with Malcolm.
Yeah.
And there were some beautiful works that came out of that. I think they were fairly happy with it. You never know exactly. But also, so we had a lovely picnic set up between all these little buildings.
That was good, that picnic.
Yeah, like some of the buildings had libraries in them. Some of them had master's work. So all the work that got made is kept and fired and then put into a gallery, which could be a shipping container or a mud brick little house. Or So we explored all the galleries more, and we went for a walk through the paddocks. So there were some amazing work, like large scale kind of sculptural works that were fired in place.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, really cool. I also was lucky enough, very generous David Edmonds, who we met through the week, he was emceeing with Marge, who was Keith's wife. He was really excited that we were students.
Shout out, David. You were great.
Yeah,
Thank
definitely a champion. He grabbed us and took us through, and we had a chat about some of the pieces and just the history, and talked about Janet a bit and that legacy. And I think because the week was so hectic, it was really nice just to chill out on a beautiful property surrounded by good people.
And wind down a bit.
Yeah, and pots. And because we weren't leaving till the next day, and we were relying on a lift from our friends who were talking to people and busy, we just kind of, Peter and I just relaxed a bit, I think. And it was a really beautiful day. Morning View is an amazing property, and Mansfield Ceramics is opening it up to residencies in the future. So
wouldn't that be nice?
It would be amazing, especially because of the library. You know, I'm a big book nerd. So just being surrounded with this history of journals and books, and also the works, like you could just walk through. Like, how amazing was that the 2 shipping containers that you and I walked through?
The entire journey through all of those buildings, looking at the collection was awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
There was some really, really incredible works, and some like lots of wood-fired and just like gorgeous things. And then also that big A-frame building that had a lot of contemporary ceramics in it. That was stunning too.
Yeah. I know, I've come home and looked up a lot of those artists, and
nice.
Some of them have a lot of artists from the UK.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot who have great little videos on YouTube associated with Ceramics Review.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I've watched a few of them since, and I just feel totally inspired.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just gushing, really.
We are really gushing, but it just was that good, wasn't it? It really
was. And I've seen on the internet that people are booking their accommodation already for
next one.
Yeah, which is in 2026.
But we don't know when yet.
No, we don't.
So, but as soon as that happens, I think one thing we'll do is book accommodation for the last couple nights, because camping was fantastic, but if we're getting up and driving home, oh, so for context, our drive was about 9 hours. So yeah, if we're getting up, driving home, it would be great to not have to pack up camp.
Yeah, and even like it'd be great to just have something right in town that you could have a cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, our campsite was really close, but yeah. It all depends on finances, really.
It does. It does. Yeah. I think I'd love to make this trip a tradition and go every year.
Yeah.
But
well, I reckon you'll be a master.
Oh.
I'd love to see that. Like,
maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, but I think this is the thing. Like, when you look at these people, they've been making for a long time. Not all of them. Some of the women were quite young.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was kind of nice too, just seeing people who've been making pots for 30 years, just doing it still.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
still loving it, not burnt out.
There were some people we met that it was their 4th time going, and yeah, that's going to be us in
yeah,
in 8 years.
Yeah. I know. Oh, really lovely.
Yeah, fantastic. There were some pub crawls too, so that was fun. Just like lots of giggles and meeting other crazy potters, having some drinks, and one night kind of walking back to camp a little bit all over the place. Maybe giggling a bit too loud, giving each other all these ridiculous nicknames.
Yeah.
I wore this gold outfit, well, not gold outfit, gold fringe, like, shawl kind of thing, and someone nicknamed me Kintsugi, and
it's a nickname that stayed.
And then shortened to Kinso.
Kinso, so
which
yes.
I absolutely love. It is so much better than Rora Snora.
It's just such a good pottery joke too.
Oh, it is.
Kinso.
I'm embracing that full force, so you can refer to me as Kinso from now on.
That's great. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. What a time. What was your favourite thing?
We talked about that.
Did we? I thought I didn't ask it. Oh, it was one of you.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. Good. Sometimes I worry that I don't reciprocate the questions.
Oh, don't worry. All good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we've covered a lot of what Clay Gulgong was.
Yes. Thank you, Bernadette, if you listen. But anyway, just thank you anyway. Like, wow, what a woman to organise that and keep that going and bring people from overseas and bring potters from all over Australia for us to learn and meet and gather and grow together. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was great.
I just feel so grateful.
Yeah,
that exists.
Yeah. So if you want to come next time, let us know.
Yeah, let us know. Maybe we'll do some interviews next time.
Yeah.
We took our gear, but really the days were just so big and we didn't really have energy to do any recording while we were there, but that's okay.
Yeah, next time we'll set something up.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Thanks,
see. Rora.
Thanks, Jay.
See ya. Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to this episode. We hope you enjoyed. You can find us on Instagram at birdsofclay_podcast. Please feel free to send us any questions or comments. And if you could leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening on, that would be amazing. We'll see you next time.